Hello and welcome back to Tay Radio Marin. I am your host, Briza, and I am joined by
Levi Rivera,
Avani,
and Emmerson.
And on today's show, we will be talking about how gender expectations have shaped our lives. But before we get into the conversation, I would like to ask everyone an icebreaker question. So it's almost finals week. What are you doing to prepare yourself for finals? I'll start. I'm mainly just trying to get all of my work finished. So that week, or I don't know how they call it anymore, but so I can have that full week to actually study instead of rush my work.
I think I'm taking a lot of mental health breaks to mentally prepare myself for finals because I feel like every year I rush everything, but this year I really want to take some time for myself. So I'm taking more time to just doom scroll and do things for myself rather than just going and studying everything right away. I know there will be some rush at the end of it, but I'm glad I'm taking space for myself beforehand.
This is low-key bad, but I think I'm going to spend it by doing my missing assignments. Because if you think about it, it's low-key review, right? Of the tests and the exams. So yeah, I'm kind of reassuring myself with that.
Yeah, that's real actually. I need to study math. My math is not going so well. So we're going to study and retake a test that I didn't do so well. Well, me and the whole class failed it, so.
Well, make sure that, as Levi said, your mental health is very important, but so are your grades. So just keep it balanced and, good luck to everybody. We're going to start with the questions, right? Growing up, what were the first gender rules or expectations you remember being taught at home, school, or church? Or anywhere? Yeah.
I feel like I have a pretty unique situation where I was really kept away from those types of roles. My mom an example would be she really hated me watching Disney and kept me away from Disney. And my dad showed me Frozen at one point, I think when it came out in theaters probably. And she was not happy because she was like, your head doesn't need to be filled with those ideas of you need a man to come rescue you. You don't need to find your prince. She was not pleased. And I didn't get it at the time. I was like, it's just a dumb movie. But looking back, I really appreciate that she was so serious about instilling that I don't need to go find a prince. And I think a big part of that is that her childhood was very focused on go find your husband.
I think I kind of share a similar perspective as you, Emerson, because I feel like growing up, my mom has been super duper progressive because similar to your mom, she had a similar upbringing, very kind of sexist, if you know what I mean. So she didn't really want to give that life to me. So I don't think it was affected by my direct family, but more so relatives, you know what I mean? You have to act a certain way around male family members, dressing a certain way, we're not in our home country, you know what I mean? So I think it was more so influenced by that.
Yeah, I also agree with the both of you. I think for my close and my mom, for example, I was raised by a single mom, so I think it was pretty progressive. She never really wanted me to depend on a man the same way Emerson, you were describing your mom was. I think it was more like depending on yourself and being independent, and always looking out for yourself rather than looking out for a man. And I think that it was more more so my extended family that was more it would influence me to be hey, maybe you need to dress a certain way, look a certain way, and I think that those gender roles are kind of just dumb because I grew up and it's I like being girly sometimes, but it's not I'm not trying to make it my whole personality, even though it can be, it just depends on who you are as a person.
Yeah, I think I have a very 50-50 experience with you because I grew up in Mexico, right? I was 9 when I came here. Mexico is known for a lot of machismo, right? So basically that means that they think that the man is the one, they think that the man is the main household person and all that stuff, right? And that women should follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my grandma only had daughters, no sons. All right. And from all of them, my mom was the one that like she stayed and worked and worked and worked and worked. I had no dad also, so the only like role models that I had was my mom, and my grandma. Right, my grandpa was there, but he was kind of lazy. He liked sleeping a lot, but
Okay.
yeah. But I think there was always this like cultural thing where they always wanted like they would always tell me like, oh, like how are you gonna find a man like this? How are you gonna find a man like that? But through like the experiences that I saw my mom I learned like just by seeing that it's like a man isn't gonna secure your place in life, right? You should never depend on somebody. Because she had two daughters from two different guys, right? Both of them left. Yeah, and then also in a way, she like always told me like, you have to make your own work, because you can't depend on a human, right? That also went with like religion, because when I came here at 9, we became Christian, and I think for her it was like, it was also very 50-50, because there was this part where it said like, I don't believe in this part, right? But there was always like this part saying that the man was the head of the house, right? Personally, I feel like a relationship is like it goes both ways, right? Both should be respected because it's a relationship of two, not of one, right? But there was also this part in religion where it literally says like, you should not trust men, right? So I think she took that very like seriously, right? And so she always taught me that I have no one else to depend but in myself and in God, right? Because she's always been very like, people disappoint, right? So you should always like be sure that you have something going on for yourself, right? So
Yeah.
What about in like cultural like settings? How do you guys feel on that? Like, yeah.
I feel like in my culture personally, like I know this because like it's literally like a result of my family. There are a lot of like child marriages, right? And like almost all the time it's like the female who is younger, like literal like 13 and 14-year-olds. So from a very young age, like I feel like females from like my country, like my culture, like they kind of have an idea that they have to like live a domestic life, right? And it's just like a power imbalance that's always happening. And like I feel like growing up, I also like witnessed that, right? But also in a way, it kind of led my mom to teach me like the same thing that you were saying, right? That like honestly, like you can't depend on anybody in your life. And I feel like growing up, I never really had like a strong sense of religion either. So I'm not sure if that's also why maybe like she was like so much more progressive. Not saying like that if you're like religious, you can't be progressive, but like it kind of led her to like a different path in life, right? So I don't know. That's just like my experience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think just in terms of American culture, I think that we were born into a really interesting time period where, I'm born in 2007. I'm assuming you guys are around there. Obama was 2008. So we were kind of born into this culture of progressive type of stuff. I've lived in California most of my life. Before that was New York. So I've also lived in very progressive places. And then we're at this interesting time where, especially now, American culture is leaning more and more conservative and more returning to, the traditional woman role and that kind of thing. And I think that we're just at a very interesting age point with that balance from going from being born into something socially liberal to regressing.
Yeah, I think for me it's similar to like Briza. I also grew up with my grandparents, so my grandpa was seen as like kind of like the head of the house, and I don't know. I think there was like instances, like he also grew up in like way like earlier, so it's like he still I think had some instilled like machismo mentality. So it's like sometimes I'd get into arguments with him about like a woman isn't always just like a caretaker. It doesn't just do everything. So like even like when I was like younger, like I'd get into arguments with like a lot of like extended family or like relatives, especially men, and I'd be like like I don't really care like what you think. Like I have my own opinion. Frankly, I don't think that there should be like an argument here in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of more just to that. And like implementing, like what my like own philosophy into like my family, my friends, just making my voice heard as well. So I think that's what I think in the cultural aspect it would be for me.
Yeah. Actually, Emerson, now that you brought that up, for the whole like America becoming wait, did you say more conservative or
Yeah.
right, conservative? I was actually talking with this health teacher because I'm writing an article about like how health class isn't doing enough to teach girls about their periods and all that, right? Um, and I feel like in a way I noticed that like I feel like it's like guys are starting not like to like point that out like guys, like but um at least by what I've seen, like it's more like guys are starting to like kind of become a little bit more conservative, but then girls are low-key starting to like uh they don't want to go back to like the old times or anything like that, so they're starting to like fight more for what they want because I feel like even like the birth rate, I noticed that it's like apparently like going lower and lower, right? So I think like it's like some people are like trying to become conservative, but there's thankfully like a lot of people that are like pushing towards like progressiveness,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's for sure. I think that with extremism, there's people who then feel a great resistance to that. And then maybe even, in this case, become more liberal potentially because they're feeling such an extreme push against the conservative lean. But I think, unfortunately, overall, the country is leaning conservative based on, just electorally who's in power and just culturally as well.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that at least other countries are starting to become more progressive, right?
Yeah.
I'm still glad for Mexico. Yay, female president, yes. Okay, sorry, I like backtracked.
You're good.
Okay, going on from the culture and religion thing, right? How has culture or even like religion shaped the way your family talks about your body, clothing, or even like behavior,
I think religion plays a really big role in how families talk to you. I think in my family, purity culture is a really big thing. So like, oh my god, like you're like your virginity is so important. Like once you have a flower and you crush it, it can't be returned back into a regular flower or whatever. And I just think that's, I don't know, because it's seen as a sin before marriage. Like I don't know. But I think there's so much more to women than just their like virginity, like there's so much more to a person than what they've been through, their struggles, what they what they are seen as. So I think it's more so just like trying to unravel that humans are more than just a body part or their physiology. It should be more about who they are. And I think that although religion is something that is beautiful and to its extent, in all different cultures and aspects, some people may use as an excuse to hurt others, and that's something that is really hurtful. And I think a lot, and from like my point of view, like in my what I've seen is that a lot of people use it as an excuse to objectify women.
Yeah.
And in my case, like that's why I think I'm a Catholic, so I believe in Jesus and God, and I also believe in Mother Mary. But I think that religion for me is it's beautiful, but so many people that like all the times I did go to church and met people, they're amazing people. But sometimes like when I would like talk to different people of religious sectors, like like pastors and stuff, it would always be like there would be like a background of like I kind of would feel objectified sometimes because it's like I would feel as though like depending on like some of like of the actions I took when I was younger or stuff, that like suddenly I am useless, even though I am not. I am still a woman, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm having like an amazing time, you know, just living and being and existing as a woman. So how I should be isn't or shouldn't be objectified. It's something like to be proud of, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I connect a lot with that, right? I'm Christian, and I feel like I believe in Jesus because I've experienced a lot of things. I'm a miracle child. I was supposed to fall. I'm actually premature. I was not even supposed to be born, or my mom was supposed to die during my birth. Like it was something like it was really, really bad, right? And I had like no support. Like, well, my mom had no support actually. When she gave birth to me, right? There was like she would have to work at 3 in the morning and stuff like that, like double shifts, like just a lot, right? And then coming here, she came like 7 times. I think she passed like the border. The like one of the last times, not like the very last, but the one before. She almost died. Uh, she was about to die when she was found by 3 ladies, and they told her that they had a dream that told them to go to exactly where she was, but they hadn't gone there for a long time because the last time they had gone there, they had like right where she was, they had found somebody that was like dead, right? Yeah, so just from like all the experiences and like what's going on with like what happens with my family, I have a really big belief in like God, right? Because like you know like obviously, right? Um, but it's kind of difficult for me to also go to church. Not because I don't want to, but because I love going to church. I love it when people preach, right? Because I mean, if you really think about it, when somebody wants you to like join their religion or like they want to preach with you, it's because they like think your life is valuable enough that they want to spend the rest of eternity with you. Does that make sense? Like they want to share the same gift that God gave them. Does that make sense? So I think it's a beautiful thing, but it's definitely being used to make people feel guilty, right? Which is not what religion is supposed to be. In reality, it's supposed to be like, at least for, yeah, it's supposed to be like a new way of life. You know, like a whole new life, knowing that you have more to live for than what you think, right? But because it's being used in a way to make people, mainly minorities and women, to feel guilty about what they do, it just gets to a point where you don't even want to like go, because like everywhere it's like judgment and judgment again and again and again. When I cut my hair, they kept on saying that it was a sin for me to cut my hair, right? But then I was like, oh, so it must also be a sin for guys to cut it, right? And they were like, no, only girls, right? And for the whole purity thing, I feel you on that, Levi, because like when I was younger, they made this like meeting for like I was like what 12 years old, I don't remember, but they crushed like a piece of paper, and then they were like, see this is like, I think it was like, this is when you get like laid or you know. And then they're like, then they put it back like straight, and they're like, you see how it's not the same, you should save yourself until marriage. And it's like, we're not a piece of paper, we're human beings, you know, we feel. How do you think it makes us like feel like emotionally for you to compare us to like a meaningless thing, you know? Because we're much more. That's the, like, I feel like that's like the beauty of like life in itself, that we can always be more than what we think, you know? Because like you're like, I wrote about this on my one of my essays for my UC, but it was saying like how my only like stop was when I decided to like call it quits. I don't remember like literally what I wrote, but it was like something like that, like saying like my limit is where I put it, you know? And I think that's like the beautiful thing of life. Like there's no limit until you put it, right? So I think that's just like, yeah.
That's really beautiful what you were saying, and I kind of relate to both of you guys, especially regarding like purity culture. Like I never grew up like around like Abrahamic religions, right? But or like those beliefs, but like my family is like Hindu, right? Or like my relatives and background is that. So there's always kind of been that aspect of my identity. And like I feel like at its core, like all religions are like beautiful, as you said, right? And I also feel like they are pretty feminist, right? But there's also some aspects that people have pushed about like religions and how it's like executed that's very not feminist, if you know what I mean, right? Like I heard this, like I think I saw this somewhere that like women like have this really unique ability to like it's so beautiful, like we can give life, you know what I mean? Like we create life, and sometimes it feels like religions kind of take away that beauty, or like they just like kind of villainize it, if you know what I mean. Like I remember whenever I'm like in India and my family go to temples, right? It's kind of like a rule that you can't go if you're on your period, because like the period blood is like considered dirty and not pure. And it just like reminded me of what you guys were talking about, because it's like we have such like an amazing ability, you know, as women, right? To create life, as I was saying, but you know, it's like I feel like we're kind of made to seem like dirty, or like we have to hide that aspect about ourselves. And it's just, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me, honestly.
I mean, that's like, I feel like period blood is the only blood that doesn't come from any like damage, you know? So it's like the fact that it's the one that it's mostly looked down upon is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments?
No, I agree. Honestly, listening to everyone talk has been really interesting. I'm raised like completely non-religious, and the only religious contact I have familially is, my mom's stories, which she had a really bad negative experience. So just listening to your guys' perspectives, there's a lot of things that I found really beautiful.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that? Like, how did your mom's, like, you don't have to tell us stories, don't you worry. But like, how did like hearing your mom's like experiences, how did that shape your mindset?
I mean, I think it just is kind of what I was saying before, where she, based on her experience, wanted to raise me in a very different way, and I think that she did, and I really appreciate that she did. And she's been very intentional in choices she makes, just based on her experience in ways that sometimes I didn't even know. I think parents commenting on bodies, especially mothers to their daughters, is a really, really common thing. My mom has like never commented on my body, which I had never really thought about, because it's one of those things that I'm really grateful for it, thinking about it, but it's just kind of a given. Like, she just didn't, which is really nice. And then I had a conversation with her maybe a year or two ago, and she told me about how intentional that choice has been, and that throughout my whole life, she's very intentionally been like, I will not comment on her body, even when that urge comes up as a human being, because in her childhood, her body was commented on really commonly, and that really was damaging for her.
I relate, honestly. Like, looking back on it, I do feel extremely grateful about like the way that my mom has raised me, because she's also been through that same exact thing, right? Like it's just like objectification, and she also really made it a point to not even talk about like my body, like, like my acne, like normal things that humans go through, because she didn't want to contribute to that cycle, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's just such an important like first step, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, comments can really damage people, you know? I got commented on a lot, especially my face. And now I have a love-hate relationship with, like, everything that's due me. Like, yeah, so I think it's really important that you be careful with, like, your words, especially if you're a parent. Because, like, things can actually get to you.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Wait a second.
Huh?
Any comments or...
Oh,
Okay. Going on the third question, what's something you were told about being feminine or masculine that never really felt right to you?
This is kind of an odd one, but like for some reason, like hair is kind of like a big thing in like my culture, right? So it's like shaping your eyebrows, like shaving like my mustache, right? Like everybody has facial hair, and like it was my personal choice that I just kind of didn't like. I wanted to clean myself up a little bit, like but it's kind of like, I don't know. Facial hair is kind of like seen as like pure, right? I don't know. That's just something I've noticed in my culture. I don't know if you guys relate to that.
Yeah, no, I relate to that as well. I think growing up, I have a lot of like arm hair, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
And like I have my little mustache, and even like now I'm like low key growing like a little beard. But like I think I was bullied a lot growing up. Like I got called monkey and stuff for having hair. I even had like someone in my life like that was like, you have to shave your arm hair like every 3 days, otherwise like you won't be like beautiful. Like it's not like enough for me, and I'm just like, there's no, it's
Yeah.
body hair. If anything, I'm just getting protected more from like
Exactly.
UV rays, so I'm like not complaining. But it just kind of sucks that that's so stigmatized, and like especially like cellulite, stretch marks. It's something normal and regular, and it's been there for generations. Like stretch marks happen naturally. Like whether it's like, it happens to moms all the time. And that's like giving birth, and even that, like I've heard like really sad stories where like sometimes women, like after giving birth, are not considered beautiful. Because they either gained weight, they lost weight, they have like new scars. But those are just scars from like showing that you gave birth. Even for women who like cannot, maybe who are like infertile, for example, that doesn't take away from them. They're still like, women are beautiful creatures, and not even creatures, they're just like living. But like I think that nothing that comes like naturally should be judged the same way that like I think I've heard like comments about how like men can, like, they're allowed to be topless, women are not allowed to be topless because it's seen as a taboo. Well, like, why is so much that women do is seen as like taboo? Like, it's just like something that's always in my mind. Like, I genuinely just don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you made a lot of interesting points there. Going back to the body hair thing, for me, that's something along with makeup as well, where I wear makeup pretty much, every day. I'm trying to lean a little more out of it, but still very much like, if I'm going into public, I'm wearing makeup. And sometimes I think about that and I'm like, I that has such like misogynistic backgrounds. I wish I didn't feel that way, but I still do. And it makes me uncomfortable to think about that because I'm like, I feel like I'd be a better feminist if I didn't feel that way. And the same with body hair. Like, I really want to be one of those people who's like, let the armpit hair grow out, like, feminine. I'm like, no, it makes me really, I'm like, you do whatever you want. I'm going to shave. And obviously I have the choice to do what I want with my body. But sometimes I do wish that like I had more of a feminist notion about those things. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I really relate to the makeup thing because like I do genuinely feel like, because I don't know, like I like art, right? I feel like it's just kind of unlocks something within me. Like I like doing my makeup every day. Like it motivates me to get ready. But at the same time, it makes me question, why am I putting it on? Like, why am I not comfortable with my bare face? And like, I feel like no matter how you look at it, even if you do genuinely enjoy it, or like, you know what I mean? Like there is still like misogynistic like things associated with it. And I also feel uncomfortable with that because I do like makeup, but also it's like, why was it created? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why are women expected to wear it every day? Am I contributing to this? Or do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I think I enjoy it. Not enjoy, but like I think it's cool when men embrace their femininity and when women embrace their masculinity, because they're just like social norms that were constructed for some reason. But like when men grow out their hair, or like they do their eye makeup and stuff, it's cool. Like you do you, like that's cool. And like, or when women like cut their hair short, like there's nothing that's masculine or like whatever. Like there shouldn't be any gender tied to hair or makeup or body. And I think it's cool when other like genders can really just like revitalize that and like make it known that it's just like social norm that's always being considered, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay, well, I'll say I have a different experience from you guys. I grew up around a lot of hair because my mom's a cosmetologist. I have to say cosmetologist because she doesn't like it when I call her hairstylist because it's different, right?
Okay.
Emerson, you said about like the girls not like shaving and all that stuff. I low-key don't shave. I unless I like feel really uncomfortable because I have like this, I don't know. I feel hair like sometimes makes me really uncomfortable. That's kind of why also basis of why I cut it. I hate it when it like touches my body. It's just like like I have a whole texture thing, right? But I also hate shaving because it like makes my skin feel a little raspy and all that. So my arms, I don't know, you can probably not even see like that, but I've never shaved them. Nothing. Um, Mainly because I don't know, this is kind of weird, but I feel like um shaved arms kind of remind me of like sausages.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah. So I don't like shaving mine, right? But like to each their own, you know? For my armpits, I also don't like shaving them. It takes me like a while to like get them out, you know? Because I like to wax. I don't like to shave because again, it like leaves bumps and all that. I don't like that. But I think I shave them maybe like once every 2 months, probably. Like yeah, around. My legs, I'd say also like well, that's like I do shave those, but like every like 3 months, you know? Because I don't really grow like that much hair on my leg. I think the main thing that I do shave is my mustache, but that's when I really need to, you know? um, but yeah, I think that's just like the whole basis of the thing. And for hair, and for makeup, I had a point in my life because I do have a lot of like I said, a lot of issues with like my face, right? And at some point, well, I wasn't allowed to wear makeup until I got to high school. Um, because my mom said that it like damages your skin a lot, right? But I got like bullied a lot for my looks, right? Um, so I had a really like love-hate relationship with my face, especially going through puberty, like 13 or something. I had a lot of acne, like more than I have right now. Um, so I think I really hated the way I looked, right? Because I got bullied for it, pointed at, and all that stuff, right? But when I was allowed to wear makeup, I started wearing like a lot for like foundation, all that stuff, right? Um, and then one time I realized that I was wearing too much. Like for me, I did not feel like myself anymore. Like every time I looked at myself in the mirror after like taking it off, I did not recognize myself, you know? And it got to that point because I really like getting ready. Like I love that, okay? Um, but I also have to like think of my mental health, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to take a step back, right? I still put on blush. Now I put on blush, lip gloss, contour, just like my nose and on my eyelids, and like a white little pencil on my nose and right here. But I don't use foundation, anything like that anymore, just because I was starting to feel uncomfortable in my own skin, and I had to learn that while I like makeup, I would much like rather feel like assured in myself, right? So I think I just mainly started like taking better care of my skin because like you know that whole look good, feel good thing, right? Like that's very, very real, unfortunately. Like if you don't feel like you look good, like you just like you're gonna feel bad inside. I'm sorry. Um but I think just the main thing is like it all comes down to how you feel as your own person, right? Some people feel more comfortable wearing makeup, some feel less comfortable, right? I would say just like find your middle ground, right? Because like it's important to like remember that you're human, right? Things can quickly go wrong, right? Like there you can like practices like can make you sometimes feel just over time like really bad. You know, too much of something is too much, too little of something is too little, right? So just find your middle ground and you know, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Well, that's it, you know? Yeah.
I feel like I also have like it hits close to home when we're talking about beauty standards. Like you said, like growing up, like around like how like society wants you to look, you know what I mean? I feel like growing up, especially in middle school, like I'm low-key being very vulnerable with you guys, but like I really hated looking at myself in the mirror. Like I hated basically everything about me because, you know, I had a pretty big overbite. Like, I had like really big eyebrows, like a unibrow, and I had like really bad cystic acne. And like, I kid you not, like, also I was very like, nothing wrong with body hair, right? Like, everyone has body hair, but the way society like makes you feel as a woman for having body hair, like, literally, even if it was like really hot outside, I would wear like long sleeve like shirts and jackets. Like, I didn't want anybody to see it because I was also like afraid of like telling my mom like I want to shave my arms or my body hair because like I know she would know why I'm like saying that to her, right? So I feel like people just don't really consider how much these unspoken things like really affect you when you're younger, right? Because like I always just thought that I was ugly, you know what I mean? Like, and I thought I would never like be perceived as beautiful or anything like that just because of the way I was naturally born. I don't know. It's like, and I feel like so many other women go through this just because of the way we were born, right? Like, we can't control the fact that we have body hair or like cellulite, right? Like, I also was really insecure about that because like growing up, like you develop those types of things and it's completely normal as a woman, you know? But like, I just felt like I couldn't show myself to anyone, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really well, thank you for being vulnerable with us, first of all. And then just that was an interesting thing about being worried to tell your mom because it is so wild how even if our parents or family don't try to instill something in us, just society still will. And then in your case, it sounds like you didn't have the tools available to deal with that because, you know, it sounds like your mom did her best to not put that in your head, but then it still got there and then you didn't really know what to do with it. And it's just really unfortunate that things like that are so pervasive that even if you're lucky enough to grow up without that in a direct flow from like your parents, it's still going to be around, and it's still going to impact you.
I think like when you like Avani, when you were talking about that, like it also hit close to home because like in middle school, like I think I was more creative in expression. Like I started wearing makeup in 7th grade. I was like low-key kind of emo, but yeah. But for me, like in middle school, like having like that whole like skater era like was really popular, like MF Doom and
Yeah.
like people were wearing baggy pants and like and for me, like, I try to dress that way. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, okay, I'll try, like, these empires and, like, these, like, jackets and stuff. But, you know, like, it never fit me, like, well, because I low-key have, like, more, like, of a curvier, like, figure. I don't know, like, genetics or something. Like, but, like, baggy jeans would never, like, fit me the way it would for, like, like other girls in my friend group. Like it was a big friend group and like they would always wear like streetwear and stuff and like I could never wear that stuff, so I always felt more comfortable with like leggings and stuff. They'd be like, oh my God, like you look like a yoga mom or whatever, and I'd be like, I don't really care, like I like the way like it fits me, you know. I think I feel comfortable the way like I can dress in, you know, like I've been feeling comfortable in the way that I've been like dressing myself, um even if it's not the same as like my friend group or like other people in my life, you know. I just feel like I do what's best for me. And I think it's cool to like just embrace like your own like body and feelings and everything. It's always just nice to have that.
Yeah. Levi, you kind of brought this up and it kind of reminded me. How does the whole like femininity and masculinity thing like go into your guys' lives? I'll start to give you guys an example. Growing up, I really, really hated the color pink. Not the color in itself, but the fact that people always made it seem like being feminine was what's the opposite of like being strong?
Weak?
Yeah. Thank you. It was like was a weakness, right? So I also Levi tried to dress I was kind of emo too, okay? I would always get like black clothes and all that stuff because I wanted people to take me more seriously. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still never did, but that kind of also made me an outcast, right? That's also why I got bullied a lot because I I think this. I don't know. I had a lot of things that going on for me or something. But I think if I could have chosen like without like societal standards and all that, I would have definitely had more color in my life. But the meaning that people put behind it, kind of like it was like my silent protest against it,
Yeah.
against like people saying that girls aren't like as strong and all that, right? Because like, or like whenever teachers were like, oh, can two strong guys help me carry this? That girly, I'm strong too, okay? Yeah.
No, that's so real. I think both of those experiences are weirdly very common, especially like the chair teacher. Like,
Yeah.
I know,
why is
always,
that so
bro.
common? Why is that so common?
Yeah.
But no, totally same. I feel like I always remember like the girls would always volunteer. There was this one girl who I was friends with. She ended up moving to Florida or I don't know. But in like up until 3rd grade, I think I was really close with her. And she was on the softball team. She was very sporty, kind of more like, you know, tomboy-ish, I guess. And I remember that she was in instances like that, she was always the first one to raise her hand. And I was really admired her for that. I was like, I don't feel like carrying chairs. But I was like, yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah, I think that's cool that like you mentioned like that was like your silent protest. I'm like I feel that because I feel like a lot of clothing is it's symbolism for so many things. But like I think when you were like talking about like how femininity and masculinity like it like manifests in your life, I think that's a really like cool way that you like kind of like wanted it to not project it, like your whole entire like the trajectory of your life. And I think I also had that thing with like pink. Like I hated pink and then like now I love pink, but it's like it's just cuz I didn't want people to like not take me seriously.
Yeah.
But then again, it's also I don't know. I don't know why it's so like implemented even like when girls are younger, really young. It's kind of just like awkward and weird.
Growing up, I feel like I also had the same thing. Like, I literally hated pink. I love pink, bro. Like, pink is so pretty, right?
Pink is so good.
But also, like, I hated wearing dresses. Like, I hated it so much. I can't even explain to you. Like, especially in my culture, like, a big thing is, like, our cultural dresses, right? Whenever, like, my relatives would, like, give things from abroad to me and my mom would, like, force me to wear it so we could take pictures and show them. Like, I literally refused. Like, I threw a whole tantrum. And I don't know, it's kind of sad looking back on it because, like, deep down, I did want to wear those things because, like, they were pretty, right? They're gorgeous. It's, like, my culture. But at the same time, I just felt like I didn't deserve it. Do you know what I mean? I felt like I couldn't fulfill, like, the standards of being a proper girl. Like, I don't know if you guys have, like, heard this, but, like, sometimes I just felt like a pig wearing lipstick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how I felt. And for that reason, like, I haven't been able, like, I literally refused. No, I didn't allow myself to wear, like, any, like, bright colors, right? Like, pink or, like, other colors or, like, wear these feminine things because I just felt like I didn't, like, deserve it because of how society made me feel.
Wow.
But I resonate a lot with that because I also had to wear like them poofy dresses, like princess dresses. Like, come on, everybody wants to wear those, okay? Like, but even like when you brought that, like, it's just like the whole like tomboy, like feminine, masculine, all that like vibe or whatever, like, right? I don't really like it. Like, why are we defining how somebody dresses? You know, like, why can't we like just let people express themselves? Like, just call it self-expression, you know? I feel like clothing is the biggest way that society has put standards, especially in women, but even on men, right? Because like if a guy wants to wear heels, he doesn't have to be gay for that. He can just wear heels, you know?
Exactly.
But like, there's been this like the way society is structured, it's like trying to keep you in a line, right? And it's like, we're humans, like, we're not like, it's not a line. We don't go on a line. We go everywhere, you know? Like, the world is filled with humans and humans and humans. And like, humans have ideas, they have like goals, dreams, and everything. Like, it's not a straight line. It's not like something that you can't follow. Like, no, like, I feel like I have this personal belief that no human is really like a follower. I feel like everybody has like everybody's a leader in some type of way, you know? But I feel like society has like in a way made it so not everybody can show what they can like lead on.
Yeah. Going back to the kind of childhood manifestations and like the female versus male stereotypes, I was just started thinking about an experience in my childhood where I wanted to be friends with this guy, in maybe second, third grade, something like that. I was young. And he was interesting and kind of a weirdo, but, talking about like history and science, and just like I thought he was smart and I wanted to be friends with him. And then like we were friends for maybe 2 days, but then everyone started to be like, "Oh my God, you're flirting. Oh my God, your girlfriend." And then like he wouldn't talk to me after that. And then I felt really awkward also. And that just like, I was just so sad and confused. I also am now gay and had no idea at the time. So I think that also added to it, where I was like, why would I flirt with this guy? What are you talking? What's happening right now? What are you saying? But yeah, that just like the way that from such a young age, when it's like, it's so crazy because when a second grader comes up to you and they're like, yeah, I want to go on a date. If you're their parent or anyone older, you'd be like, yeah, right. No, you're not dating anyone, you're a child. But then at the same time, culture pushes that narrative from such a young age that you have those scenarios where it's like, oh, you're friends with a girl, like you're flirting with her. And it's like, how are those things true at the same time? They're children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Children can't flirt.
I think, yeah, I was going to talk about that too. Like, it's so weird how, like, even, like, when, an instance I remember is, like, when my mom was pregnant with my brother, who's 4 now, like, people would be like, oh my God, he's going to come out so handsome. He's going to have so many girlfriends. And even now, like, when we dress him up, like, my extended family at family gatherings will be like, he's going to have so many girlfriends. He's going to be a heartbreaker. Like,
Right?
why are you saying that? Like, that's weird, bro. Like, he's a baby. Like, chill out. It's so weird how society does that and instills that. Like, bro, ain't nobody gonna, like, do this, bro. Like, let's be so real. Like, and then the thing with, like, friends, too, like, male friends, like, it's so awkward. Like, I had a lot of male friends my freshman year. Because, yeah, I was in a really giant friend group. But, like, sometimes, like, I'd just hang out with, like, my guy friends because, like, some of my, like, girlfriends weren't, like, available. And, like, I would get a lot of people being like, hey, like, are you guys dating? Like, what is going on with you guys? Like, and, like, I even had to lie. Like, I was like, oh, no, like, he's my relative. He's my cousin. So people wouldn't be weird because people were, like, disgustingly weird. And I hated that so bad. And, like, I felt so uncomfortable. I just wouldn't, like, talk to them outside of, like, a private setting because it was so weird that the rumors people would make.
That's so sad.
I feel like trying to be friends or like being friends with a guy as a girl is kind of like a lot more social pressure we face. Because I don't really know, I can't talk for the guy side. But for us, it's like if we even like speak to like the male species, like we are immediately like, oh, you like him. Like you want to be in a relationship with him, you know what I mean? Whereas like boys can like talk to girls, like it's whatever. But like for us, there's like more negative connotations behind it. And that's also pretty sexist, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it leads to, it's like, sucks. Because I think it leads to both, like, I mean, it's happened multiple times where I've been friends with a guy and then, like, from other people, like, outside perspectives, they're like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore because I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, I don't really blame you. I'd be uncomfortable too if everyone was coming up to me like, oh, your girlfriend. I wouldn't like that either. And then it also has the issue where, like, some guys internalize that or believe that, and then suddenly you can't be friends with guys. Because even if people don't like you, like, I feel like I've been in friendships with guys who I'm like, I don't believe you actually have a crush on me, but you've been so conditioned to think that any girl that you're interested in any way is a crush for you that, like I feel bad for you. You don't have a crush on me. You just like me as a person, and like you've been so trained that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, I have 2 best friends, okay? A girl best friend and a guy best friend. They're my girly pups, okay? I'm trying to set them up together, but it's not working yet. But the amount of people that would ask me if I was dating my boy best friend, his name is Simon, like
Out of Simon.
yeah, like it was getting to a point because it was people and people kept asking, and then they kept on asking him too, right? And it was like just getting like, girl, like can't a girl just be friends with a boy? Like you know, like, and the thing is like I see him like as my brother, you know, like yeah, or like I don't know, um like he's a really good friend of mine. But I really didn't like feel like uncomfortable by it because I was like sure of like that I didn't like him like that, right? But I don't know, it did like sometimes like it I felt like it was a little bit annoying sometimes, right? But you know, like the good thing is that like as long as you're sure in yourself, right? Nobody can tell you what to do, right? And that like just be assured of yourself, like right? Like make sure you I think I heard this once, but make sure to study yourself enough to the point that nobody can tell you what you can and can't do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that should be the wrap up, right? Put a thumbs up. Yes, I'll just say the last. We have more 10 minutes? Okay, cut that part out.
Briza's ready to be done.
No, wait, what time do we get out?
You can see on the screen under recording.
6 minutes. 47?
We have 51 minutes so far.
Well, what the?
When the clock hits 5:30.
Y'all never told me that was there. Okay,
But yes, there's that little clock.
okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Briza's just done now.
I thought it was at 30. I thought it was at
Briza, I'm
5:30. Yeah, could you guys also?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So let's just say but now Levi or Avani, do you guys want to?
Okay.
I wanted to add something.
Okay, here we go.
But yeah, just think like, be sure of yourself, and you know, like, yeah. Anybody wants to add anything?
Yeah, I think, you know, like you guys were both like, and we were like kind of like on the school like setting kind of. I just kind of like wanted to like know, like, do you guys have like any like issues about like safety, assault, anything going on right now at school? Especially like I know that there's like more like alpha male videos like with Andrew something and
Eight.
yeah, a bunch of people who are like weird and like making boys think that they are like the sigmas of like society or something. Like,
Yeah.
how's it going?
How's it going?
Okay, so here's a big issue, at least at my school, our school. Our school is very passive, right? And when there's warning signs of someone being like a man being potentially like a predator later on in life, like it's completely ignored. And this is like an issue that's not really talked about, right? Because, you know, there are so many students that go up about like things that like a guy has personally said to them, like has like harassed them, like threatened them, has physically like assaulted them, and the school does not take it as seriously as they should. And I feel like that is just not okay, right? And like I feel like we shouldn't have to fight so hard just to get like what's the word? Justice. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it's kind of upsetting how like schools kind of claim to be like very inclusive and to like protect its female students or any student at least, but then they let kids just be like harassing other students, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I have a similar experience. I'm going to try to be as vague as possible, but it happened with me where I had to file a complaint and go through the process in freshman year. And then I know for the same person has had issues with many, many people. And with just like inappropriate behavior, you know, very uncomfortable, making me and my friends uncomfortable, and then other people the same thing. But then nothing was done, largely because the person is also autistic. And it's like an interesting thing where I think from the school perspective, they're like, we can't do anything because then we'll be seen as like not being inclusive to our neurodivergent students. And it's like, that doesn't excuse behavior. Like,
Yeah.
100%.
if you're neurodivergent or have any kind of, you know, anything like along those lines, that doesn't excuse behavior. It may say, hey, this is like a reason it might be a little more difficult, or we need to, you know, implement different things to make sure it happens, but that's not an excuse to just make your other students uncomfortable. But I think that from the perspective of like the people in charge, they're like, I don't know, in a way avoiding a lawsuit, you know, like I don't want to get in trouble for like quote unquote discriminating against the student, but it's like the action they are doing is making other people unsafe and uncomfortable, and that's not okay.
It's the fact that also, like, I feel like your school is not just, they're immediately just like dismissing it, right? Like they're not even trying, or like trying to find a way to go about that.
Yeah.
That fits the situation at hand. Like they're just immediately saying like, no, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's also an issue. Like, at least in my school, like, I'll also be vague about this situation, right? But there is like a student who has issues with multiple people and has said very like sexist things, like things that suggest that he's going to be a danger to society, right? And when this was brought up to the school, nothing was really done about it. And I was just thinking, like, how is it that like our schools are going to like punish us for like being like 2 seconds late to class, right? Or like they threaten to like, you know, give us attention. But then when students are actually doing like very bad things, right? It's like they don't even get any consequences. And that's just not fair at all.
Yeah.
And I think, again, like also like with a lot of people, like, or like, especially like, like predators or like people who harass and hurt others. I think a lot of sometimes their actions are taken as a joke, especially if they're popular, you know, because then, or like quote unquote popular, because it's like then it's like they're just like being funny, you know, they're not actually doing harm, but genuinely like they're doing harm. Like it's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a class with a person. I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna say, you know, all that. But knowing the things he's done, knowing the things they have done, they've uploaded, knowing people who they have harmed, right? It makes everybody in the class uncomfortable, right? Like super, because like they try to talk with like my friends and with me, like get into our conversations, and it's like the person they harmed is right there, you know? And like how, I don't know, it's like how can you keep on like reacting like that, right? And unfortunately, like even like the whole law system, they don't do enough to protect victims, right? Especially like the whole school system, they're not doing enough. Unfortunately they're trying to avoid lawsuits. They're not doing enough, and you know, things have to be like, somebody has to like talk about it, because it's like there are children in schools. Like there's literally children, right? Like even for teachers, there's some teachers that can be a little bit suspicious, you know. So it's just like the school should definitely be very, very careful, but they're not being careful. It's like, I don't know, I feel like it feels like sometimes they only care about the money, right? It's like you're literally shaping human beings to be like put in society. Like I get that you want like money to survive, but you should have also understood like what you did, like what place you put yourself into when accepting the job as a teacher, right? So you should do your job still, which is pretty much like protect your students, right? It's unfortunate. Like the whole thing is like you're expected to like put yourself in front of your students and all that, right? But like it's the reality of it, right? And like if the like principal is not doing anything like that, like if they're not doing anything, then like who's going to defend the most vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Also, I feel like people may consider this to be like exaggerated, but like I'm being honest with you guys, like you already know, like it's not. Like a kid will take their life. You know what I mean? Like it will happen, and it has happened in so many other situations when these big things aren't addressed, and the school is just like choosing to ignore this, right?
Okay, well that ended it really deeply. And for any teen who's experiencing a mental health crisis, call 988. To everybody who's going, during like their finals, good luck to everybody. Good luck to me. Good luck to all of y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Tay Radio, where we dive deep into stories, culture, and community. If you liked today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can follow us on social media at T Radio Marine for updates and more ways to stay connected. And see you guys all on the next episode. Goodbye. Take care.